So now I'm ready to add it to this and this. And according to the amounts we calculated, which is 2.3 mils of this to here and 2.8 mils to here, right? Give or take, let's see what we end up with. So this is set to 1 mil aliquot, so I need 2 of these. 2.8 for this one, right? So here's 1 mil added this way. You see how they get that mucilage? And then another mil added this way. And then 1/8 of a mil. So you change this to 800. And then you add 1/8 of a mil. Right, so that is it for this one. And then for this one, 2.3. So I'll add the 0.3 first. So we're gonna add 0.3 of this, and then the 2 mils back to 1,000. Right, 1,000. So here's one, and here's another. All right. The other thing you have to consider now, do you want to fill these areas here, little areas? Maybe we'll do them a little bit of pulp, doesn't hurt. Right. Here, here, doesn't hurt, right? You want to do this one here, the corner? Sure, why not? We're just going to add 1 mil to this, probably too much, but just add 1 mil to this. This is going to be thicker, right? All right, because it doesn't take 1 mil, probably far less than that. All right, so now what I'm going to do is rearrange the fibers in here so that they're more even. Dry as much water as possible, right? But we're adjusting it best we can based on the math. And the math may tell you one thing, you may end up, based on your prep, judging it and say, well, I need a bit more here, right? And you won't be able to tell unless you experiment a few times, and then you can get the formula right for your type of pulp, right? Like abaca is really difficult to work with because you have here these long fibers that can, like you see some areas here, at least here, right? You can see them together still, even with the formation aid. But you could dispense them easier, right? You could make it more homogeneous better. I think this is going to be great. Whatever spillover is over here is fine. You can just push it up slightly. Should we fill this hole? I didn't do it, but still have a little pulp here. I can just push it in. And if this book is Amazing Fantasy number 15, believe me, you need to be careful with it, right? I'm going to cover it. And then I'm going to cover it with paper towels to suck up some of that liquid. Let it settle a little bit, right? Before I do any other steps. So I'm not going to roll it because rolling it pushes the pulp out of the holes into other areas when you have formation aid. It's very delicate at this point, right? So I'm going to make sure I dry it as much as possible first, and then I'll go ahead and with the rest. All right. Right. No rolling, just cover it. All right, so here we are 24 hours later, and I'm eager to look at the results to see how we did, right? The cast is nice and firm and stable. So the amount of pulp added, right? Some of it went over, right? When you press everything, some of it will go over, and I see some pulp here too to the side. But overall, the cast looks nice and stable. Let's look at the transparency, see if it's nice and smooth also. Look at that. I mean, really nice, right? Hardly any lumps. All you see is the fibers. It's like a mono layer of application here. So the math told me to add this much, and then me as a practitioner in the field, right? How much would I add? That's then there is an eye appeal to it, to things, right? That's when your experience comes in, and you say to yourself, is this too much pulp? Is this too little pulp? Okay, maybe the model tells me to add this much, but is that suitable for the fiber I'm using, right? Pretty stable, pretty consistent, and that's something you don't see when it's lumpy. So Formation 8 actually is doing the good job in giving you a very smooth type of cast. The thinness of this cast is similar to the thinness of the paper after pressing, right? You feel it by just running your hand like this. No lumps, no bumps. Looks like continuous with the paper, right? Oops. The color is off, but other than that, I think it looks pretty good. Now, how much time did I spend to do this? A long time. Everybody has that much time. I don't have that much time either, you know. So I was asked a question, and the question was, how much pulp do I need to add? How do you know how much pulp? Well, it depends on your prep. I couldn't tell you how much pulp you're gonna add. How did you prep your pulp mixture? Depends on how much water there is in it. It depends on the pulp itself, mixture itself, right? If you have pulp that is very lumpy and you add, the lumps are gonna be in one area here, like I showed you before, and it's not gonna be very smooth, and it's gonna be uneven, right? And if you add too much of it, it's gonna be like cardboard almost, right? And it's going to be difficult to fold and all of that, right? How is the folding on this? I can fold it very easily. You can see that, right? Very, very easily without breaking the cast at all. So the cast is holding. And if I have the math now down, and I know about how much I can add here and how much I can add here, then in the future I can eye similar spots and know exactly how much to add, right? I can add, and if I can look at it and say, if I need to top it a little bit more, I can top it a little bit more. You know, there is no shame to that, right? So overall, if you look at it, it blends evenly with the rest of the page of the wrap. No bumps, nice and strong, not gonna come off. Just hydrogen bonding, right? And mind you, I didn't roll this, right? If I rolled it, I think the mucilage that I had in here, the pulp I had in here alongside the mucilage from the Formation 8 would have exited everything, would have given you a terrible results. So I think rolling is important to establish hydrogen bonds, but you could, with this type of prep, when you have it, you want to like make sure the water is gone first, right? And then, so tap it dry first. And if you want to roll it later, you can roll it later if you want. But I put it in my press under a very heavy pressure, and it's all done. Plus, if you notice here, I have some tails I need to trim. If I trim it, I think it'll look very nice, very natural, you know. So this is without a doubt a support for the hypothesis that then your own personal judgment has to enter the picture in knowing how much more to add or not to add, right? This gives you an idea how much to add, and then your preference steps in. And who am I to say what your preference is, right? Yeah, so that applies to me also. Like, do I do the math every single time in the future? Probably not, right? I might do it occasionally for maybe expensive books. For regular leaf casting, you could probably proceed as usual. And this just gives you some standards that you could apply to your books and to your pulp. And every pulp is going to have different mechanics to it, how it's applied and how it's made, right? So one last thing about this, and I'll let you guys go. This is, you see how the abaca shrinks a little bit? Let's see it better on the other side. Shrinks a little bit, and that shrinkage is natural in abaca. It happens, right? And you're gonna press the book at the end anyway, so it goes away. All right, guys, thank you for watching.